Okay, we are live. ¿Qué tal, amigos? Stuart here from Spain Speaks with this evening's live stream, 7:40 p.m. It is September the 18th is the date. I've said it once, I'll say it again. The year is flying by already. At the 18th of September, are we? The summer well and truly done and dusted in Spain, even though the weather is still quite warm. The holiday season, that is, with most people back to work now. We'll be looking at some of the main stories that have caught my attention in the press here today in Spain. Not a lot of news going on, nothing that we haven't seen before, and also some comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers we'll take a look at too. Then into the live chat to see what's bubbling away there, so stay tuned for that. And if you are watching in the live this evening, say hello in the chat section. Now, straight into the news, and the Spanish government, as we know in recent times, has been announcing lots of cash spending, and today was no different because, as we can see here, Spain is to quadruple airport investment to 13 billion euros from 2027 to 2031. Prime Minister Pedro Sánchez has unveiled a record 12.9 billion investment plan for Spain's airports between 2027 and 2031, 4 times higher than the current 5-year program. Announcing the third airport regulation document at Alicante, Elche, Miguel Hernández Airport, Sánchez said the funds will modernise and expand not only the main hubs but also regional airports to meet growing demand. Transport Minister Oscar Puente highlighted that Spanish air traffic has grown faster than anywhere else since the pandemic, with passenger numbers expected to top 320 million this year. Around 10 billion euros of the funding will be regulated investment, with the remainder linked to Aena's commercial activity. Major projects include a 3.2 billion euro expansion of Barcelona's El Prat airport, slated for completion by 2033 despite environmental objections, and a 4 billion euro for Madrid-Barajas to enlarge terminals and integrate high-speed rail and new metro lines. Alicante and other airports will also see significant upgrades. So good news for travellers to Spain in the future with these airport upgrades. 13 billion or close to that figure to be spent. 12.9 billion euros, the exact figure. And the main airports there which will benefit from that investment: El Prat in Barcelona, Madrid-Barajas, and Elche, Alicante airport down there also will receive some of that cash to upgrade. So expansion on the plan for those airports there. The Barcelona airport, as we saw there, trying to get another runway put in. Environmental concerns have hampered the progress as far as that runway is concerned over the years, but the government saying that it will go ahead there, the extension of that airport. Prat airport in the city of Barcelona. And Alicante, no doubt because of the growing numbers of people going to that part of Spain, which as we saw there, record numbers in recent years since COVID. More people, according to the Transport Minister, travelling to this country using the airports than other countries around the world. So Spain's popularity creating more investment in its infrastructure, namely airports. Second piece of news here, and the Madrid community has banned Palestinian flags and Gaza solidarity in schools. The regional government of Madrid, led by Isabel Díaz Ayuso, has ordered schools to remove Palestinian flags and any symbols of solidarity with Gaza, where nearly 65,000 people have died in Israel's offensive over the past 2 years. According to educators who spoke anonymously to El País, education inspectors have been phoning both public and semi-private schools with verbal instructions to take down displays supporting Gaza. Retired teacher Carlos Diez Hernando confirmed the directive, noting it applies across the board. The teachers collective, Marea, in Spanish, Palestina, plans legal action, arguing the move violates academic freedom and school autonomy. Critics highlight the contrast with 2022, when Ayuso's administration actively encouraged displays of support for Ukraine after Russia's invasion, including food and hygiene drives in more than 1,500 schools. Ayuso's government says politics must stay out of classrooms, but opponents call the ban a double standard. So the Madrid government, as usual, doing the exact opposite of what the central government does and banning Palestinian flags and Gaza solidarity, as we can see from the headline there in schools. And basically that is what it is all about. Whatever Pedro Sánchez and his government does, which is very pro-Palestine, anti-Israel, the Madrid government does the opposite, because as we know, that's how Ms. Ayuso thinks that she will remain popular amongst her voters. Time will tell. I don't know, because the tide seems to be turning as far as this conflict is concerned, at least here in Spain anyway. And the next piece of news will also highlight that, as we will see in just a moment. So, Madrid Premier or President Isabel Díaz Ayuso standing up to, well, I'm not going to say standing up because that's the wrong term, but showing her opposition to whatever the central government does as far as Palestine and the Israeli conflict is concerned there. And the final piece of news, also on the same topic, and it is that the Spanish minister backs strong measures to pressure Israel over Gaza. Spain's Minister for Digital Transformation and Public Service, Oscar López, said any action that increases pressure on Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is positive, even hinting that Spain's withdrawal from major sporting events like the FIFA World Cup or Eurobasket could be justified. In an interview with Espejo Público, a television program, López stated that most Spaniards condemn what he called the genocide in Gaza and expect their government to act decisively. He explained that the delay in finalizing Spain's arms embargo on Israel is due to technical issues, but stressed that Spain was among the first countries to recognize the state of Palestine. López criticized the former Prime Minister, José María Aznar, for siding with Israel and urged opposition leader Alberto Núñez Feijóo to distance himself or risk complicity. Rejecting claims of electoral motives, he said Spain is internationally recognized as a brave country and insisted halting the bloodshed is the top priority. So this news coming on the back of an announcement the other day that Spain will withdraw from the Eurovision Song Contest if Israel takes part. I'm not sure exactly when the song contest is held. I think it's around May 2026. I think that's the month that it is held in. Don't quote me on that. But Spain has threatened to not participate if Israel is present. And the minister there saying that maybe they'll take it another step further and withdraw from the World Cup if Israel participates as well. And also the Eurobasket. And to be honest, I would like to see how the Spanish public would react to that if Spain did not participate in a World Cup football tournament because of its protest over Israel. That would be very interesting, and to be honest, I don't think the government would get much support because football is king in this country. Basketball, not so much, and the Eurovision Song Contest, I don't think many people are interested in that, but the FIFA World Football Cup, that is a different story, and we'll see if the Spanish government does indeed have the cojones to go through with that threat should it occur. Time will tell, as I always say. Comments that have been left on the channel in recent times by viewers we'll take a look at now, starting with this one here from Joe Strummer. As for Airbnb tourist rentals, question to the general public. If you owned a piece of property in a lovely tourist area, what would you do? You could earn, say, $1,200 a month from a contracted tenant, or would you really like to earn maybe $1,200 or $1,200 each week? Thanks, Joe, for the questions that you have posed there. Do you put your rental property here on Spain, if you are in one of the popular city areas, do you put it on the long-term rental market and get your 1,200 euros a month, or do you put it onto the Airbnb platform and possibly quadruple your income? Not sure whether it would be quadrupled because you would have downtime, of course. I don't think you would have it full every week of every month. But you could try, and that would be the going rate, I would say, in one of the more popular tourist destinations for a week's accommodation in a city like Madrid, Barcelona, Seville, Malaga, etc. That is probably what you would be raking in. And let's be honest about this, that is what many people have decided to do. They don't want the hassles of long-term contract or long-term tenants. They want the short-term tourist option because they think it is a safer option, a more lucrative option, and the government not happy with that, of course, and that's why in part they are cracking down. And also due to the fact that a lot of people have decided to avoid the rules and regulations and just put their apartments on Airbnb regardless. So that's what we're dealing with here. Thanks, Joe. Another one here from Die. I know there are accusations of corruption, but I find myself continually impressed with Sánchez, Spain's Prime Minister. He acts and speaks like a good man who genuinely loves his country and people. Thanks, Derp for that comment there. Not sure the exact pronunciation of your handle, but yeah, I'm sure you would find some people in Spain that would agree with you, but I reckon you would find a lot of people who don't agree with you on Mr. Sánchez because he's a bit of a polarizing character. Everything that he seems to say and do splits the population. He's got his loyal supporters. Politicians here in Spain always will have their loyal supporters, people that no matter what the party says or does, or what the Prime Minister says or does, they will support their leader to the end. But a lot of people in recent times have been turned off Mr. Sánchez and his political party, who they believe is holding on to power illegitimately here in Spain. But again, that's an argument for another day. But I come into contact with many people who don't like Mr. Sánchez, and the conversations that you hear walking around the streets often confirm those thoughts. But again, maybe it's just the microcosm that I'm living in. I don't know. Thanks for the comment. One hit from Ira. I wish the US would do literally anything about our housing crisis. As a future immigrant moving to Spain, it's reassuring to see how much the government is doing to try to solve it. I'm visiting Spain in November, and I made sure to only reserve hotels out of respect for the locals and my own personal hatred for Airbnb in the United States. Thanks for the comment, Ira. I think that's how you pronounce your name. I could be wrong again there. But yes, you wish the United States would do something similar to what Spain is doing. To be honest, I would say that the Spanish government has been a little bit late in reacting to the housing crisis. Only when public pressure became too much for them to bear have they decided to act. They could have nipped this one in the bud years ago, but no, the tourist dollar has been more important, and it wasn't until the protests and the voices became too loud for the government to ignore that they decided to start their restructuring of the housing market, let's say, by firstly cracking down on these properties on the Airbnb platform and other platforms like Airbnb. But the social housing, we're still waiting for that, and we're still waiting to see exactly if the government will fix this crisis or not. We could argue that the government is full of hot wind. They like to speak for the sake of speaking and making headlines, and where do the actions come? Don't know. We'll wait and see if they actually do arrive, or whether it is just all hot wind from the Sánchez government. Thanks for the comment. Another one here from Glenn. Maybe the problem is that the 1% of Airbnbs are all focused in desirable city centres where they may be a much higher percentage of the housing stock. I suspect Airbnbs in empty Spain are rare. Thanks, Glenn. That also could be the point. In empty rural Spain, there's not a housing crisis. It's only in what they call high tension areas, like, for example, the big cities and the main tourist cities in the country. That's where the problems are. And some of the prices, I've got a family member that's planning a move to the island of Tenerife, and the prices that she's talking about for renting a room, they are unbelievable, talking around 500 or 600 euros a month, I think, or maybe 450, 500, don't quote me on the exact figure, but for that part of Spain, very, very high to be renting a room, whereas here in Madrid, a couple of years ago, that's what people were paying for a room. But now the Canary Islands also suffering this, so no wonder the locals are complaining, having to fork out that type of money, and considering that this person in question that is moving to the island of Tenerife will only be earning most likely the minimum salary, maybe a little bit above the minimum salary, to have to fork out that for a room is ridiculous. But that's what we're dealing with here. But the point made here by Glenn, yeah, maybe it is true that the 1% are only in the desirable locations. The rest of the country, not so much. Thanks for that. One here from Bart. Pedro Sánchez's endorsement of the protest that disrupted the Vuelta a España, the cycling race in Spain, sends a troubling message both within Spain and abroad that hosting international events carries the risk of political disruption. Thanks, Bart. Yes, it could be true. I think the government thought that the cycling race wasn't the most important event to be protested at. I'm sure, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, if it were an important football match, and there are plenty of important football matches that take place every weekend here in Spain, there's no protests. So why did they target that? Well, maybe it's the international viewers, but again, whenever Madrid plays, Real Madrid or Barcelona or Atletico de Madrid play, they get a big international audience, but nobody is running onto the pitches. At least I haven't seen people running onto the pitches here in Spain in protest at football games. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe the police presence at football games is higher, or as I said, maybe the government thought that it would be an opportunity during the cycling race because of the popularity or lack of popularity, I would say, for that race. I don't know, but football here is king, and if people start disrupting La Liga, I'm sure that it will be a different story altogether. But again, just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And the final comment here from Larry, in my humble opinion, if there are too many illegal vacation rental flats, VVs as they are called, this is the fault of the local authorities who have consistently failed to enforce the regulations and ensure that all such flats are registered and the owners pay tax on the rental income, simply not being enforced. Thanks, Larry, and that is the point that I made a few minutes ago also, that the government has been late to the party on this one. The problem has grown to such an extent that the government has needed to listen and announce measures, but as I also said, it could have been nipped in the bud a while ago when these platforms first started to appear, and people being people always look for ways to avoid paying taxes, avoid the rules and regulations, and get in on the act. It's happened before, and it's happening now, and into the future again it will happen. Maybe if Spain's bureaucracy was streamlined and people found that easier to deal with local authorities and bureaucracy in general, more people would be on board with adhering to the rules and regulations. But unfortunately, it's not the case. Now, into the live chat I'm going to go. Before I go there, I need to change the backdrop picture, which you briefly saw there. This photo here has been sent in by Robbie, who now resides in the city of Zaragoza. And that's what we see here, the Basilica Basilica Cathedral, I think it's called there, as many people have pointed out to me over the years, ever since I went to that city and put that monument in my video, calling it only a cathedral. Many people have said, Stuart, it's not a cathedral, it's a basilica. So there we go. That is what we are dealing with there. An impressive monument on the side of the river, but as we know, the Catholic Church has some pretty impressive monuments all around the country, given the importance and power of that organisation over the centuries in countries like Spain. Now, if you want to send your picture that you have taken here in Spain through to me so it appears on the backdrop, the email address is currently on the screen. spainspeaks@gmail.com is it. And like Robbie has done, feel free to send your pictures through to that email address. If you haven't hit the like icon yet, we're sitting at currently 40 likes. So if you haven't hit the like icon yet, please consider doing so. It's completely free, won't cost you a penny. So consider hitting that like icon, please. Also, to people that have supported the channel in recent times, there we go, through the super thanks or super chat option here on YouTube, people that have bought me a coffee through the Buy Me a Coffee platform, thank you very much for those coffees. And also the longer term supporters on Patreon, thank you very much for that support. And of course, the channel members of this YouTube channel. Let me see if I can get that there. There we go. The YouTube supporters here, the members that have joined the channel in recent times. Thank you very much for that support also. Now, let me de-blur the background so we see the impressive monument there in the background, lit up at night. Now, I will say this monument stands out like a sore thumb in the city of Zaragoza, not meaning that as a negative comment, but you can tell by the size of the monument there that it towers over all of the other structures surrounding it, and visible from many, many parts of the city is the cathedral there. Probably one of the most impressive cathedrals in Spain, and believe me, there's a lot of cathedrals in this country. Every major city that you go to tends to have a cathedral, and even some of the smaller cities you go to have cathedrals. So, yeah. Now, into the chat section I'm going to go. Just let me open the chat section up if I can. I think that's everything out of the way. Let's scroll up to the top. A short chat section today, not many people contributing. Andrew, the first person that I can see. Good evening, Stuart and all. Looking forward to the live stream with a nice bottle of red wine, Vino Tinto, from a nice day in London, southeast. Good to see you, Andrew. Good to see you enjoying the video this evening. James and Kathy coming in from Worcester, the home of the famous sauce, of course. Here in Spain, people don't try to pronounce that word. Worcester, a little bit complicated, so they just call it salsa inglesa, I think is what it's called. I might have that wrong, but I think that's what they mean when they say salsa inglesa, the famous Worcester sauce or Worcestershire sauce. Being outside, having a nice drop of Altos de la Guardia Crianza, no doubt a nice red wine there in the late evening sun, 22 degrees. Sounds lovely, James. Enjoy. Janet coming in, valued member from Oxford, where President Trump and Prime Minister Starmer have ended their love-in. Yes, I did notice that Mr. Trump was in the UK at the moment. Very controversial, Mr. Trump, at the moment regarding certain things that have happened in the United States. Television shows being cancelled because certain people don't agree with the content, which is unusual from that part of the world. I thought that people had a platform for free speech, that you could say things, you could criticize people in power if you wanted to, but apparently it's not the case because the power has its way. The power seems to have had its way, which is, in my opinion, a tragedy. But I'll leave it at that. John is in the chat also, coming in from the UK, I believe. A glass of beer, Madrid, to accompany the live tonight. Living the dream. Yes, John, you are living the dream. Al is in the chat also. Buenos dias or buenas tardes it would be. Not sure what the time is in the States. Probably in the morning sometime, would it be? Don't know. Enjoying 24 degrees there. Partly cloudy skies. Hope all is well. Thanks, Al. Barbara's in the chat from Catral, where Barbara's staying at the moment. Suffering with, what's that, bursitis, is it? But at least Spain Speaks will distract me from all the pain I'm suffering ATM. Get well, Barbara. Hope that pain doesn't persist for too long. Nice haircut, says James. Thanks, James. I visited my local barbero, as they're called here nowadays. They used to be called peluqueros, but now the barber shops have taken over. And my Colombian barber went to work yesterday on the remaining hair that I have left, let's be honest. The remaining hair. Sharon also saying, sharp haircut. Thank you very much. 13 euros it cost. So for that price, I hope to get something decent. What else? Oh, Janet saying, good evening. We didn't say that one there before. Marie coming in from a sunny and warm Coruña, La Coruña or A Coruña up there in the northwest of the country. Warm and sunny since last Thursday. Amazing. Enjoy, Marie, because as you know, it's not going to last for long up there in that part of the world. Once those storms start to hit the Atlantic coast, bye-bye. Bye-bye good weather. Mike coming in from Vermilion, Canada. Probably the last hot day till next summer. Sad to see, Mike. Sad to see. Billy, fly the Spanish flag high and proud in all Spanish schools. Yeah, you normally get the flag outside of schools, at least in this part of the country. Billy, you get 3 flags, I think. The Madrid flag, the Spanish flag, and also the European Union flag, I think, flies. At least I believe that to be the case. Spanish flag definitely, and the Madrid community flag also will fly, and that would be consistent throughout Spain, I think. Maybe in Catalonia, you're not going to be getting the Spanish flag flying anywhere, or in the Basque country. But the rest of the country, yes, it does fly. But in those 2 areas, Joe, yellow alert for heat and Kalima in Lanzarote, 29 degrees this morning at 7:30 a.m. That's warm, Joe. Hard walking today. Plans passed in Costa Teguise for new hotel and the biggest hotel in Playa Blanca, Lanzarote. There we go. Progress in that part of the country. I'm sure the locals will be happy with more hotels. Joe being one of them. Kathy coming in from Kansas City, that is. MO. Where's Kansas City? Where is it? I'm not sure exactly where MO is. My geography not that good, but I imagine that is the name of the abbreviation of the state. We enjoy the videos. Thank you. Excuse my ignorance, Kathy, but let us know where Kansas City is exactly. Too many cities in the US for me to be up to speed on every one of them. Barbara's also loving the haircut. Thanks for that. Dave, hoping everyone is healthy and happy in these final days of summer. Glad to see it go. I reckon a lot of people are glad to see summer go. We always wait for summer to come, and then we're happy to see it go, or at least that's the impression that I get here in the centre of Spain. We want it to come, but when it comes, we want it to go because it becomes unbearable. And with the temperatures that we currently have today, must have been around 36 or 37 degrees today. Unbelievable. 40 degrees in Seville. There we go. No aircon, of course. No, it's a problem in schools, Janet. No air conditioning, especially when you get these hot days that are not really in season. 40's a lot. Andrew's saying, I didn't realise Israel is in Europe. It's not Eurovision. Well, it is, Andrew, in Eurovision and other European competitions. Israel does participate. For obvious reasons, let's be honest. I can't see Israel being welcomed to local regional competitions. I can't see them participating in the Middle East Song Contest. I can't see them participating in the Iranian Football League or playing any games there anytime soon. Generally not too popular in the area is Israel, so it needs to participate in friendlier areas, or at least areas that were friendlier until countries like Spain decided to go full-on anti-Israel. And if you show any support for Israel in some parts of the country and you own a business, you will get your facade defaced, which has happened in Catalonia in recent times. A woman stood up for Israel and her business was subsequently vandalized. So that's what we're also dealing with here. Dirt saying, I believe I have a lot to learn. I'm not sure about what, Dirt, but let us know. Sandy saying, love the channel, Stuart. Very interesting as always, varied and informative. You're a natural. Thank you very much. And we have an emoji there that I can't see, but apparently it's a popcorn yellow striped smile. That's what it tells me. Jose saying, take care with billions. In most of the countries in the world, including Spain, 1 billion is a million of millions, and in the US and some others, 1 billion is 1,000 of millions. Yes, Jose, I'm well aware of that, but when I put the news here, we're talking American billions, okay? So if it says in Spanish, 1,000 millones or 13,000 millones, 13 billion, ¿verdad? If it said in Spanish 13 billion, billones, we would be talking in trillions, right? And I don't think the Spanish government has 13 trillion to be throwing at the airports. I don't think. Gigi's in the chat here also. Spain is supporting anti-Semitism. I don't understand why, once again, the country is doing that. Well, this is the political stance of the government. I think they have been careful not to use the word, I don't think they like to be called anti-Semites, Gigi, but you can certainly come to that conclusion with what is happening currently. But as we know, the Spanish government wants to stand out. And Pedro Sánchez wants the publicity. So that's the line they are moving down at the moment. James is in the chat. Kathy remembers the Dana International won Eurovision for Israel in 1998, and Australia is in Eurovision due to its popularity over there. James, that is true. I've always wondered why Australia is in Eurovision, hence the name Eurovision and its European context. And I understand that the popularity of Eurovision through a broadcaster in Australia called SBS and the strong European-born population, right? A lot of people born in Greece. A lot of people in Australia were born in Italy, Portugal, Spain, Croatia, and they like to get a feeling of home, or even the UK. They like to get a feeling of home by watching Eurovision and the terrible songs that get thrown up in that competition by the majority of countries. But it's a feeling of home for them. So Australia got the invitation and we participated. I don't think we've ever really done very well. Maybe we've been in the top 10, but I don't think Australia's ever won. And last year, I don't even think we got into the final. But again, I stand to be corrected. Bob saying, if you own property, you should be able to do it what you want. The housing crisis is not the fault of real estate owners. Again, Bob, tell that to Mr. Sánchez and company, who are targeting homeowners and landowners that want to put their properties onto platforms like Airbnb, but they haven't done the necessary paperwork for whatever reason. And as we know, the Spanish government has said that those properties are going to be turned into social housing for young people and people in need. So again, I said the other day, are the owners going to get a say on who they rent their property to? Or will the government say, listen, Pepe, your property was illegally registered on Airbnb. We don't like that. So what we're going to do is force you to rent your property now out to a student or a young family, or maybe somebody who has recently arrived in Spain and is looking for accommodation, Pepe. Your property is now available to them. Thank you very much. Good day. That's the way the Sánchez government has announced that the other day. Urub Dog is this? From Denver, Colorado, EEUU. Have the fires stopped? I believe that they are all under control now, Roo. I believe that to be the case. There might be some flare-ups or some spot fires, but I believe that the serious fires are now all under control. Thanks for asking. Ian's in the chat. Glad to be back in Spain after sampling the rain in Somerset for 12 days. Thanks, Ian. Back in Spain. Upsticks, late night at the office, so caught the live rather than playback. Great as always. Thanks for joining this evening, Upsticks, and anybody looking for help on relocating to this country, Upsticks to Spain is the guy for you. Thanks for that. Al saying Kimmel was cancelled mainly due to poor ratings. Kirk was just an excuse. Yeah. We could argue that, Al. I reckon that somebody doesn't like being criticised on national television. There's ways of cancelling shows and there's ways of cancelling shows. But again, thanks for the input. Estuardo, is this where the YouTube money goes for the haircuts to make you look youthful for the local Spanish women? Haven't had much success with the youthful, looking youthful with the locals here, Charlie. So basically, my haircut's not for that reason. Thanks for your input. Good haircuts near the club for €10. Thanks, Dave. A tenner you will fork out for a haircut there. Is it a barbershop, Dave? Is it a barbershop? The famous Worcester sauce is now sadly made in Chile or Peru, where the anchovies are found. There we go. So not even made locally anymore. There we go. Bronny, muggy in Wales. Feliz fin de semana. Best wishes. Thanks, Bronny, for that. Cloudy too. Back in the day, according to Charlie, a haircut cost a peseta and a firm handshake. Probably back in the 1950s that would have been the case, Charlie, but we've moved on since then. Thanks for the input. Missouri. There we go. Missouri. Thank you very much. Somewhere in the middle of the state, says Dirk also. Not easy to keep up with the amount of states in that country. And especially when the abbreviations pop up. I imagine that people in the States are familiar with that use, but for the rest of us, maybe not. Texas, yeah. California, maybe. New York. But when you get down to some of those lesser known states, especially for us foreigners, not easy. Marcus has contributed with the super chat here. Have a beer. It's still warm enough. That is true, Marcus. I bought a beer especially today from the supermarket to enjoy when I wrap this up in a couple of minutes' time. Will I compete to sing in the next Eurovision contest? Absolutely not, Charlie, but thanks for the input. Kimmel asking Al here, that's what Trump said in the UK press conference. Of course, it's what Trump said. But again, believe what you want. I certainly do. Hanging from the balcony, I have a Spanish flag, the EU flag, and the Scottish flag. There we go, says Robert. So trying to mix in with the locals with the Spanish flag, because I imagine that if only the Scottish flag were flying on the balcony, I don't know whether you'd get an issue or not. I'd like to hope not, but you never know. There's also a Kansas City in Kansas. There we go. Thanks for that, Carterman. Good to see you. Dave also saying the barber shop is across from a bakery. We're talking about the neighbourhood, I think, in which Dave used to live. Has a very good bakery. Dave not living in that neighbourhood anymore, which is a shame, because everything was very, very handy. Right, Dave? Very, very handy. Very, very handy. You're not forced to rent your previously Airbnb home out to people you don't like. You can just sell the home and have done with, problem solved. That is another option, Marcus. But my point here is that you shouldn't be pushed to that extreme that the government says, well, all of a sudden these 50,000 houses that were illegally on Airbnb are going to be used for this purpose. Don't really like that way of thinking personally, but it's the way I interpreted the article. James saying that Worcestershire sauce is still made in Worcester since 1897. Didn't somebody say it's made in Peru? What's going on? Contradicting information here, but I'll take James's word for it, considering that he's at the source. And Dave misses the bakery. Yes, Dave. We missed the bakery. We missed the bakery. We do indeed. Now I'm going to wrap the live stream up on that comment there. Thank you very much for joining me this evening. I'll be back again on, next week, I think, because I'm traveling on Sunday. I don't think I'll be able to get a live stream out. So next Tuesday, most likely. If I do manage to get back in time, I'll have a live stream. But if not, next Tuesday will be the day. Have a great start to the weekend. Hasta luego. Hasta entonces. Adios and bye-bye.